By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent. Reveal what is hidden, that we may transform it into light. Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Today we walk the path of the dove and serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Hanged Man. This is position 1. Now, as you see, some cards fell out of the deck. We're going to save those. We're going to use them in the spread. But this is your first card. This is the Station. This is your character. It reveals our sense of self right now. This is our essential personality. This is what is kind of on our mind. This is what is like occupying our energy at the moment. And the Hanged Man is that card of surrender. It's that card perhaps of suffering and sacrifice. Okay? So our very own personal suffering might be on our mind right now. We might be wondering, like, am I suffering for the right things? What have I surrendered to in my life? And is this, how is this shaping my experience of life, right? Maybe we're in service to a goal, an ideal, a higher spiritual principle. Maybe we are feeling that we have surrendered to the will of somebody else, right? That we have surrendered our path or our autonomy in order to be of service to someone else. It could be that we're taking care of somebody. It could be that we have... maybe we're feeling as if we're getting close to giving up. Okay, sometimes this card is about throwing in the towel, waving the white flag. Okay. I feel as if we're very aware of our own position right now. And this to me feels like a position where we may not be making any outward progress. It may not seem as if we are, but we're going through something internally. Okay? Maybe we feel as if we've postponed our life in order to sort of deal with something else, that we put our life on hold in order to be of service somewhere else where we're needed. Okay? So it may be that we feel we're not working directly on our goals right now. It could be that you're in a situation where you have acquiesced to the will of someone else. Okay? We need to put this card into a little bit of context and see what really is going on, see where this energy is coming from and where it's going. We're going to use these cards that volunteered. Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles, we have the Lust or Strength card, and, ooh, interesting, you've got the Libra energy behind you. Now we'll do the rest of our Dove and Serpent spread. We have a Prince of Wands. We have the 7 of Wands, okay. We have a 4 of Cups, 2 of Swords, 9 of Cups, and a Princess of Swords. Okay. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're just going to set it down over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. And now we're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end. It will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. All right. Now, as we look around the room, we see 3 major arcana energies. Okay. We see the balance. We see the contract. We see the agreement. We see the sort of handshake relationship. We kind of we see that we've chosen something, and now, of course, we see our own position, our own suffering, our own sacrifice. Okay. And again, we are asking ourselves, what am I sacrificing for? Okay, we've entered into this relationship, and now we feel as if our our suffering is the prominent energy we're feeling. Okay? Of course, under the surface, we have this is not suffering. This is pleasure. This is driving force. This is kind of the opposite in a way, right? This is pure water. This is some really fixed fire. Speaking of fixed fire, you have the Prince of Wands. These are both Leo energies. I would watch the Leo reading if I were you, or meditate upon the Leo symbols, okay? The lion and the sun, and maybe on this tarot card itself, okay? Because the Leo energy seems to be very much coming into your life, both from under the surface and from above you, from the spiritual realm. There are these very fiery forces that are sort of, leading the way forward out of this water, out of this suffering, out of this period of sacrifice, okay? It may be that Spirit is saying, look, you've sacrificed enough. It's time for you to move on from whatever this situation is, okay? But we'll deal with these cards individually. We have our three majors. We got fire and fire, water and water, air and air, a little bit of earth. And the little bit of earth that we have is card number 2. It's the battle. This is our personal quest. This is the conflict right now. And I think it really is us thinking of our future self and wondering, like, if things continue the way they're going, if I continue to make this sacrifice, or if I continue suffering or surrendering in this way, who am I becoming? Is this good for my soul over the long term? Is my future self going to say, you did a good job sticking with that and suffering through it, and thank you for your suffering, right? Or is your future self going to say, I wish you would have gotten up and out of that situation sooner? Okay. And so that's kind of that's the thing that's sort of testing our strength right now. It's testing our courage. This shows us, right? The Queen of Pentacles is looking at the past. And so this is kind of that opportunity right now. You're reflecting right now. And I feel that you're looking at your life and you're wondering, okay, where do I need to bring the fight? Where do I need to grow? Where do I need to transform? What decisions do I need to make right now? I feel like you're kind of taking your power back here. But I think that we have a bit of a moral dilemma, right? Because, your future, we're wondering about that future self. Down the road, what kind of person am I going to be? Am I going to be, like, grateful that I stayed here and suffered? Or am I going to be more grateful, more empowered, more happy, more successful, more fulfilled, more awakened, more alive, because I realized a bad situation, I got the heck out of there quick. Okay? But it feels like this is the conflict before you right now. It's kind of like, do I honor the past or do I move to the future? Because in the past, we see the Libra energy. There's been a commitment. Okay? And, really, it may be, sometimes this is a legal situation and this is our punishment. This is a choice we made and this is karma now catching up to us. Well, is it time now for us to say, okay, I've paid my dues, I've suffered enough, it's time for me to get this fire energy going and look at my future now. It's no longer time for us to suffer for our past decisions. It's time for us to let the past be the past and move on and pull ourselves out of this. We need to turn this hanged man into the fire dancer, right? Shout out to Dave Matthews Band. Kind of looks like their symbol, right? And that's kind of what happens when we pick ourselves up out of this position. It almost feels as if you're punishing yourself for some past choices or mistakes. Feels like we are suffering the effects of karma, but we can be done with that. Let's get back to our dream. Let's get back to this, our hopes and dreams and wishes and aspirations. Okay? So the second position, this battle position, is kind of trying to understand, where am I being called to action? Is my future self summoning me to make a change right now, right? Where am I called to revolution, to change, to courage, to the turning point? This is the card of, like, turning a page here. Okay? And again, this is a card that's very much understands the past, understands the long and winding road, and all the ups and downs, all the twists and turns of life that it took to get right here, right now. This is a card that understands karma. Because we understand that all of our past thoughts, words, and deeds, all of our decisions, have brought me here right now. So this is kind of a card that accepts and understands and acknowledges our karma. But then also says, I don't need to suffer endlessly for that. I'm not going to be eternally punished for my bad decisions or my good decisions. And that I need to make new decisions right now in order to continue on in the future. So it's kind of like saying, I've learned from the past, and I'm ready to take that wisdom and apply it to my future. I'm not going to continually suffer for something that's over and done with. Yeah. So this card really understands the karma. And now the next card is position 3, and it is deep in your soul. Reveals your unconscious drive, your private self, right? The emotional landscape beneath your persona, the wellspring of your feelings and memories. This is the lust card. This is the strength. This is the confidence, the passion, the discipline, the self-control. But that kind of like that ferocious energy. Yeah. And this is like your hidden desire, your hidden attitude. And this is the feeling. This is that empowerment, that boldness, that Leo kind of energy that is going to shape your destiny. If we stay in that hanged man position, whether this is like, let's say you're in a relationship where you feel like you've lost your autonomy, we're taking the power back. If you're in a situation where you're continually being punished or blamed for something that happened in the past, you're taking your power back. Okay? If we are punishing ourselves for some regrets, we're taking our power back. Okay? The hanged man seems like it's lost its autonomy, lost the sense of agency. Either we're in a relationship where we now feel like we're serving the needs of others and neglecting our own needs. We're taking our power back. Sometimes this is a card of being a little bit selfish, realizing that I have needs and wants and desires. And there's this part of me, this almost an ambitious, a hungry, thirsty, powerful, magical part of you that needs some expression. So this is like, it may be a little selfish, maybe a little bit ego, right? The hanged man is kind of a loss of an ego. And the loss of an ego seems like a very unfortunate event. Okay? Try getting through life with no ego. It would be impossible. Okay? So the hanged man feels like a cork on the ocean, like a leaf on a river, and has no sense of agency, has no sense of direction. It's just wherever the wind blows, wherever the water takes me, that's where I goes, right? And I feel that is no longer serving our best interest. That's no longer a surrender that we're keen on. Okay? So it feels like there's some other force in your life that is, it almost feels like they're calling the shots. Maybe this is a relationship, maybe it's a business thing, maybe it's a work situation where you feel like you've lost your autonomy. Somebody micromanaging you, somebody is like deciding everything, deciding what you wear, what you eat, what time you go to the bathroom and all that. It's no. We're taking our power back. Okay? And the idea here is that I've got myself into this position, and I need to get myself out. Yeah. And so this is that attitude of power. This is strength. It's courage, bravery. This is realizing that we are magic. Like I got this coin on my desk here. I don't even remember where I got this, but it says, don't forget you are magic. And really it's the tarots, because I believe the tarot is a system of divination. It's Spirit's way of teaching us, reminding us that we are magic, that we are the magician. The whole idea of the tarot is the fool realizing that it's the magician and all those adventures that it has in creating itself and creating its reality. Well, the hanged man has lost all power. The hanged man feels like, I may be learning a lesson, but I'm not creating myself or creating my reality yet. This is about us realizing that we have that power and having the courage to step up and do that. Okay? Now, the position 4 is the dwarf position. It's the event of the past that is still lingering in your present. Okay? We have the adjustment card. It's a Libra energy. It's a card of karma. Okay, and this is the event or the pattern of events that is still holding you back or kind of shaping your current situation. So this is either I got into a professional relationship, I signed a contract, I agreed to something, I willfully and kind of knowingly agreed to something and got myself into something. Okay? But this is also the card of the pattern of our choices. This is literally the card of karma. This is literally the card of kind of saying, hey, you know, what's fair is fair, right? But it's also a card of balance. And I think right now our life has been too out of balance with that hanged man energy. That we have been serving the needs of someone else or something else that is not serving our needs anymore. It's not bringing us any kind of fulfillment or empowerment or satisfaction, right? It's a lot of suffering that doesn't feel like it's worth it anymore. Okay, this is a card of kind of judging the relative value of something. Yeah, and maybe we made some choices where we overvalued something in our life and we chose it. It's kind of like, I know I shouldn't have had all that Indian food yesterday, right? But I overvalued it, and so I overdid it. It weighed too heavily, and I judged it too positively, and now I'm kind of suffering the consequences today, right? A true story. But it goes deeper than that. It's not just about those day-to-day sort of mundane choices. I feel like it was a major choice. And it may be, as an event in your past, it may be that we said yes to something, and now we're realizing that, okay, it's kind of been going on too long, and it's time for us to get out of this. So maybe for us, well, at least maybe not time to get out of it, but it's time to turn the page and take a little bit of our power back, maybe to restore the balance. Maybe you're in a relationship that feels very one-sided, that feels like you're suffering and serving and acquiescing and kind of, being the sort of nursemaid to some other force, but you're not getting anything out of it. There is no balance. There is no reciprocation there. But we also understand the value or the virtue of suffering and sacrifice and surrender, right? But suffering and sacrifice isn't a spiritual quality by itself. It's not like we can say, well, the more I suffer, the more spiritual I get. I must be a good person because I've suffered more than any of my friends, right? And so it becomes sort of a competition. It becomes ego, becomes vanity. Who can suffer the most, right? So suffering has to be purposeful. There has to be a reason, right? And obviously you're someone who's willing to suffer for the right cause, for the right spiritual principles or the right goal or the right person or anything like that. And I think that's kind of the question right now is this something I still want to suffer for? Whether it's an idea, a relationship, a friend, a romance, whether it's a business, a job, it's whatever it is, right? That we're sort of asking like, okay, I don't mind paying my dues. I don't mind being punished for making a bad choice. I understand karma. I eat too much Indian food. I get a tummy ache the next morning. Okay, true story. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to punish myself even more, that I'm going to pile on, that I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to put on a hair shirt and sleep on a bed of nails too. No, I'm going to drink a lot of water. I'm going to eat some bland food, maybe some toast or some rice or something to try to settle my stomach. I'm not going to make it worse. I'm certainly not going to punish myself more, feeling like, well, I deserve to be kind of double punished. You break the law, you go to jail, right? You don't punish yourself by saying, go ahead, judge, double my sentence, please. I deserve it. No, I'm going to do what we can. I'm going to be a model, inmate and try to get the heck out of there. It just makes sense, right? So I feel that we're trying to restore a little bit of that balance. We're understanding where we are and why we're here, but it doesn't mean that we need to linger here longer than we really should, whether this is a relationship or whatever it could be for you. Suffering is not a spiritual virtue for its own sake, but suffering for a higher purpose, a higher principle, or for a love, or for anything, for something that's worth it, right? It's kind of like, was the Indian food worth it, the suffering? Well, maybe, yeah, a little bit. I mean, mostly, yeah. I probably won't do it again anytime soon, but we have to ask, like, what are we in service to right now, and is it still worth it? How is this choice, decision, relationship, contract, agreement partnership, right? Or this valuation, right? This judgment we made. How is this still punishing? How are we still suffering for this? And do we really still need to? It feels like you're suffering for something that's in the past now, and we're ready to move forward. All the signs say, let's get on with things. Okay? Even the Queen of Pentacles is saying, okay, I understand. I've learned the lesson. It's time to turn around. Position 5 is the Giant. It reveals your driving force, your dominant motivation, your creative impulse, your virtue. And this, again, it's a fixed fire energy. It's a card of balance, but it's a card of courage and power. It's a card of discipline. Okay? And it's a fixed fire energy. So this is kind of like, I've got my cruise control set on the future. I'm not slowing down. I'm not going backwards. This is a card that says, let's take action. Let's go forward. Right? And this is empowering you to move ahead. So the strengths that we're ready to embrace, courage, right? A fixed fire, a willpower, an empowerment, accepting that we are magic, that we are the magician, that we're responsible for our lives, and we need to do what we need to do to start moving forward, whatever that means for you. Restoring the balance. Perhaps realigning ourselves with our purpose, something that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves for, something that we're willing to suffer for. We don't want to suffer, but to be willing to suffer for something that's the quality. To love something so much that you're willing to suffer for it, that's the quality. It's not the suffering itself, and it certainly doesn't say that you have to suffer for something, or that the more you suffer, it proves how much you love it. No, but the willingness to sacrifice what we have or what we are for the sake of our beloved, for the sake of our purpose, right? That's the quality we're after. So what strengths are you ready to embrace? And how do you harness this energy to manifest your destiny? Yeah. Let's look at the next position, because we see more of this fire energy in position 6, the imago, the event, right? This reveals your next step, the future events, right? The immediate consequences of your action. It feels like you're the underdog going up against a larger force, okay? And the 7 of Wands is that card of, despite the odds, I'm not giving up. No matter what is in front of me, no matter what the obstacle is, I'm not going to turn around and go back and give up and throw in the towel and wave the white flag. Okay? So you have to take this how it's resonating with you. Okay? Because, with the Hanged Man as being this potential, I'm getting ready to quit. Maybe I feel that the suffering is too great and I don't want to suffer anymore. This card might be saying, I'm not going to give up on this fight. Maybe maybe it's an injury or an illness. Maybe this is about you trying to break through or succeed at something. And right now you feel like you're suffering. And right now we feel like we're questioning whether or not to stay in this position of suffering. Well, we have to ask, what am I fighting for? What am I suffering for? And the Hanged Man is a loss of power, a loss of agency, a loss of autonomy, right? We're taking our power back and we're saying, no, I'm not going to accept defeat. I'm going to fight on, whether that means getting out of the situation, fighting to get away, or if it's about fighting through whatever the obstacles are, okay? The way forward for you is through this Leo energy. It's another Leo card, right? It's Mars in Leo. So this is a fight. This is saying that I am committed to my spiritual path, my goal, my heart, my whatever it is, right? This purpose of mine, I'm committed to it, and I'm fighting ahead. So this is like your choice right now. As soon as you turn around, and as soon as the Hanged Man decides to pull itself out of this suffering and say, I'm going to fight, maybe we're fighting against the suffering. Maybe this is us fighting against whatever force is holding us down in this position. It's kind of like my daughter's in jiu-jitsu, right? She's going to be 5 in a couple weeks. Actually, she's 5 in like a day or two. God, they grow so fast. And she does jiu-jitsu. And she's going to a tournament at the end of the month. And she is, she's learning how to fight. She's learning how to be more aggressive because she's very gentle. She's very gentle, and she's a little bit of a Hanged Man energy, right? And we're sort of teaching her, look, when, if by chance the other kid gets on top of you and got you in a hole or has you pinned down, you need to fight like heck to get them off of you. That's the name of the game, right? So you need to roll over, you need to grab their hands off of you, you need to grab their wrists, you need to pull them down, and it's a lot of physical contact. It's rough stuff, but the kids love it, and all of her friends are there, and she really enjoys it, and she's a very active kid. And so that's sort of what we see here, that there is a situation, and honestly it may be involving an older female energy, but it feels like we're pinned down in a situation, and we need to, rather than just give up and say, oh, I guess I've lost the match, you need to fight back, and you need to push forward. Okay? Pushing forward is the only way we're going to get to our goals now. If we just accept defeat and we just lie down and we just let the other energy pin us down, we've lost. We have to fight, even if the other person's, even if it's bigger than you, right? This is kind of an underdog card. This feels like the odds are against us, but we're fighting anyway. And with all of these Leo energies, you're being told to fight. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the path of the serpent. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. If there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Your persona, position 7, the 4 of Cups. Okay, this is the public mask. This is the face that we wear on the greater theater of life, how we present ourselves to the world. And this is kind of a almost a passive card. I mean, it is. It's a 4. It's kind of a stable card, a card that's at rest. It's a state rather than a function. It's an even number. The odd numbers, right? Like the 7 and like the 9, right, are active cards. It's a function. It's us doing something. This is us just being something. And this is the 4 of Cups, is somebody who is not fighting for what they want. This is somebody who is not pushing back, who has gotten pinned down to the mat and has just said, okay, well, it could be worse. It doesn't hurt too bad. Rather than getting fired up and getting that sort of surge of energy through your muscles and using our magic and using our power. And this, again, this is not who you are. This is what other people see. This is kind of when we have to ask, does this persona serve our highest truth? And this might be the persona of kind of letting everybody go first, letting everybody have their way. The hanged man sort of situation, right? Where it's just like, I'm not going to go first. I'm going to let everybody get in line first and then I'll go. It's kind of serving ourselves last. It is letting everybody else take priority and we become the last priority. So if we're not prioritizing ourselves, we can't expect anybody else to. So people may see us as somebody who is meek and is kind of, the opposite of this fiery powerful energy. Okay? Seeing us as somebody who's not assertive. Seeing us as somebody who doesn't fight for what they want. Doesn't speak up, isn't going to get loud and get upset about things and have an opinion and vocalize their needs and their views on things. Somebody that just kind of says, well, que sera, sera. The 4 of Cups is, at least the boat's not sinking. And that's true. I mean, there are no holes in the boat. Things could always be worse. The boat could be sinking right now, but we're not fired up. Our engines aren't running. Our sails aren't raised. We're not sailing off to our adventure either. So this is kind of like we're just sort of playing it safe, or we're just, people may see us as not being really a threat. It's kind of like we're almost just somebody in the background. And it's kind of like it's somebody that, they'll just say, oh, here, thanks, hang up my coat, please. Excuse me? It's like, I don't work here. You ever been in a store and you're kind of standing around and someone says, oh, do you know how much this costs? And you say, I don't work here. You'd have to look at the price. I don't know. And it's sort of like, it's kind of like people are maybe taking you for granted. People feel as if you are a resource that is there for them. And I feel like that, again, it's a good quality, but not if it's too much. And you have to know where that line is. And that's why the Queen of Pentacles is saying, is it time now to shift energies? Well, it looks like it's time for the fire. It's time for us to bring a little bit of our own energy here and say, I need to serve my true purpose and not just be here in the service of other people and their purpose. I need to live my dream, not anyone else's dream. I'm not here as a resource for other people to live theirs. Again, balance is needed, right? Because we want to be of service. We want to have other people rely on us. We want to be welcoming to energies and to be there for others and to support others and that sort of thing. We want to be of service. But there has to be a line. Because eventually being of service becomes us really diminishing ourselves and keeping ourselves contained in this box that's only there for other people to take out when they need something, you know. So we have to ask if this persona is serving our highest truth. Okay, this might be a mask that no longer fits you. This might be your true essence. Now, the next position, position 8, is the shadow. It is an event. It is a choice that is coming, right? It uncovers kind of a hidden influence in your environment, circumstances that may test you by stirring up something that you deny. It could be that we're being given the option, that there's a choice on the table. And sometimes this card is like we're kind of in conflict with somebody, that your intentions, your opinions, your idea, your choice, what you want for your life, might be different from what somebody else wants for your life. Can you imagine? You know? I'm going to do this with my life, and someone says, no, do that other thing instead. And you could say, well, thank you for your opinion, but F off, you know? I didn't ask for your opinion. But for somebody to feel as if they know better than you, or that they somehow have the ruling vote, you know, the final vote in what you do with your life, to me seems a little absurd right now. Again, it's okay to be of service. It's okay to be loyal and, you know, sometimes an obedience to a different authority. I was going to say a higher authority, but this doesn't seem like it's a higher authority. It feels like somebody that feels as if they can micromanage your life. Maybe an older female energy. There may be, I want to say there's an N name. I don't know if N like Nancy, you know, that kind of N. But the Two of Swords is something that's happening around us that is kind of like evoking your fiery qualities. It's pissing you off a little bit, right? And so it might be somebody that really the micromanager, someone that feels like they're dictating everything that you do. That's kind of keeping you in this punishment. You know, it's like a kid that's like on the timeout chair, you know, and the parents keep saying 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. At some point, the punishment outweighs the crime. And that kid's going to get up and say, screw you. You know, I hope not. I hope my kid never says that to me, but, you know, kids will be kids. So, you know, eventually it's the hair that breaks the camel's back. And so something is happening around you that is kind of bringing out this Leo energy in you. And I think it's time that we make a different decision, that we stand up and we say, I'm not going to be afraid of being this fiery Leo, assertive, calm, assertive, steady, courageous person that I know I am. It could be that we're making that decision, saying, no longer am I going to suffer needlessly in this situation. I'm going to do something about it. Okay? Whether that's pushing forward through an obstacle, whether that is sort of standing up for ourselves, whether that's making a big change. I feel like we're focusing now on our own dreams. Okay? So something in your environment is pushing you to grow. Yeah. And in a way, we're sort of, we can think if we have a vow of obedience to somebody, and they're telling us, okay, mop the floors, wash the windows, wash the car, okay, now go to sleep. And we're sort of, is that helping us grow? Okay, maybe we're learning discipline. Okay, maybe we are, we're keeping the ego in check a little bit. And so, that can be a positive thing. There's no judgment here. The judgment has to be your judgment, the Justice card, your relative judgment of whether this is still appropriate for you or not, and what you need to do about it. There's nothing wrong with a vow of obedience. There's nothing wrong with sacrificing and suffering for the higher purpose. But you have to ask the question, is this still serving my higher purpose? Or has this become like a micromanager kind of thing? It's like we're going into the military or something, and they're going to tell you what to do. They're going to tell you when to eat, when to sleep, when to go to the bathroom, when to make your bed, when to march, when to whatever. And that's part of it. That's teaching us, discipline, and it's ultimately giving us the freedom to have that kind of personal power. Okay, so there can be benefits to that sort of energy, but you have to be the decider. Yeah. The next card is the fear, worry, concern card. It's the specter. This is something that's haunting us, and it's the 9 of Cups, right? Shows our fears, our anxieties. This is the part of yourself that now is kind of challenging the situation. It's pushing us toward growth. This is a card of happiness and superabundance. This is about prosperity and really celebration on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. So the question here is, are we experiencing this growth? Is this a situation now that is leading us to our happiness or not? Or is this diminishing our happiness? So the fear here is that, this is no longer serving my best interest. That whatever the situation is for you, we're worried, and that's kind of where our decision has to be. That's where we have to kind of stand up and be brave to recognize, yes or no, whether this situation is still benefiting me or not. Okay, and it's not ego benefit. It's not just like saying, well, it's not fun anymore, so see you later. No, it's saying, is this still good for my soul, or is this crushing my soul? Maybe this is a marriage that's gone on for a long, long time. And it's been a lot of service, a lot of suffering, a lot of sacrifice. There comes a day where we have to ask, is this still what I want? Is this still serving my soul? Do I feel like I'm manifesting my soul's destiny in my dream life, right, through a path of service? Or is this crushing my soul and diminishing me? And those are very serious alternatives, okay? So the inner dread is that idea of happiness. Is this going to make me happy or not? And we have to recognize this as a deeper soul satisfaction, as really a dream come true kind of life, and not just does it feel good. Okay? Because the things that are good for us may not always feel good. The things that are good for us may sometimes feel bad, but sometimes the things that feel bad are bad for us. Okay? And I think that's kind of the dilemma that we're in. That's our fear, I think, is that this is no longer serving my highest interest, my soul purpose. Okay. The next card is the Destiny card. It's the final event here, position 10. It's the Princess of Swords. This is about us giving enough thought to a situation, not doing anything impulsive. Okay, this is the culmination of the quest, the external events that shape our transformation. So it reveals the shape of our realized self, where we are pushing forward with our own agency, right? And this is kind of like somebody who spends a lot of time being ordered around or bossed around by other people. When to sleep, when to eat, when to go to the bathroom, when to go outside, when to make the bed. Has lived a life of obedience. Somebody else calling every shot, dictating every move. Finally gets freedom, and they're out there in the world and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to choose. Kind of got a little Shawshank Redemption thing going on, right? Remember, I can't remember the name, but he finally gets out, and then he's like, I want to come back, This is that kind of initial freedom where we don't really know what choices we want to make yet, because it's been so long, we don't know what freedom looks like. We forget how it feels to make our own decisions and to have to think about what we want to do and then make a choice and then go and do it. Okay? So this is somebody who's has gotten used to a certain life. Let's say we're in that long marriage, right? And then we decide to change something. Well, we're going to have to figure things out. We're going to have to get our sea legs a little bit. And we may make mistakes, right? This is a card of curiosity. This is a card that's saying, now I'm learning. I'm learning a new way of living my life, and I'm going to make some mistakes. I've got to give myself room to make mistakes and fall down. Okay? So it's kind of like once we get back on top, right, we're on the jiu-jitsu mat, someone's pinning us down. Once we get them off of us and we get back onto our feet, we might think, what do I do now? Now what do I do? I don't know, maybe I try to get them on the ground or something, right? And so we sort of panic a little bit, but we try our best. Yeah. And what we have to do now is really try to align our actions, our thoughts and our behaviors, right, with our destiny, with our highest potential, with our highest happiness and our highest soul purpose. We have to start making decisions on our own, with our own autonomy and our own agency, in order to fulfill our potential and fulfill our destiny. Well, we're going to make mistakes. Okay? We're going to make wrong decisions again. I guarantee it. I guarantee one of these days I'm going to have some kind of Indian food or some other spicy dish that I love, and I'm going to have to suffer another tummy ache. It's going to happen, right? And we know that, but we're going to do the best we can. Yeah, to make the choices that are going to align our energy with our destiny. Let's look at the mystery card. And the mystery card is position 11. It's the guide, right? It reveals your higher self, your inner teacher, your deepest wisdom, and it shows the character, the qualities that you must develop to walk the path ahead. Now, what do we think it's going to be? Well, I think it's going to be another Libra energy, maybe card of balance. It's going to be a 6. It's going to be something, maybe a 6 of swords, maybe an ace of swords, right? Okay, so I'm thinking an ace or a 6, really of anything would be fine. It could be your Taurus power card, the Hierophant, yeah. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. Oh, the Fool. Yeah, of course it's the Fool. Of course it's the Fool. The Fool emerges as the voice of your soul's truth. And what message does this offer? Right? How can you integrate this wisdom into your life? This is freedom. This is saying, I am free to move about the cabin. Whatever these restraints are, whatever has been keeping you in that hangman position, we are free. We're free to make mistakes. I'm free to stumble into another really wonderful Indian dish, right? It was the papri chaat that got me. That's such a good dish. Anyway, we're sort of free to make mistakes. We're free to choose our own path. We're choosing our own adventure, right? The Fool is maybe doesn't know a sense of direction yet. The Fool is not so different than this. Basically, the Princess of Swords is the Fool trying to figure out their way, trying to figure out their path. And right now, just kind of like, just going to see what happens. I'm going to see where things go. But nobody else is controlling my actions. Nobody else is controlling my, nobody else is controlling the flow of my life. See, it's in a way similar to the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is riding the wave, riding the current. The water, it's a cork on the ocean, right? It's a feather or a leaf on the lake, or a leaf on the river, I should say. And going with that flow. But the Fool is the feather on the wind. So rather than being controlled by the fleeting emotions of somebody else, the needs of somebody else, we are a feather on the wind. The wind is pneuma. The wind is the ruach. The wind is spirit, the breath, right? So being the feather on the wind to me feels like we're going where our true nature sort of takes us, okay? But what we're not doing is being controlled by the emotional fluctuations of somebody else, or the desires, or that sort of reward-punishment system, right? We're going with the flow of the spiritual breath. You know, that's the spirit of ourselves, the spirit of the universe. So to me, it feels like it still is a card that is in service of something, right? But it has a little bit. We've used our agency to get out of the old situation, and now the new situation is one where we are in service. We are going with the flow of our higher, truest purpose. Yeah. So to me, this feels wonderful. This feels really, really good. Now, please let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into your heart. Each card is a mirror. Each station is a temple of transformation. Okay. Remember that the tarot does not dictate your future. It reveals the patterns of possibility. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this reading has illuminated your path in any way, please share your reflections down below. Together, we travel upward, ever onward, ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram, we'll do some oracle cards, the whole works. There's a link in the corner, there's a link down below in the video description. New readings for Taurus, Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.